I only had two choices in my life, music or to be a monk. And I actually spent time as a young man, a considerable amount of time in my summer times, in a Benedictine abbey in Three Rivers, Michigan in the United States. But one day the abbot said to me, "David, you will leave in the morning." And I said, "Father Abbot, what have I done?" And he said, "You've done nothing, but we've been forming monks for a couple thousand years now, and you have other things to do." 1996. Oh, I can still remember it. I came over the bridge and came down along the quay. It was dark and misty, and it was night. And the next day, of course, what one does when you go to a new town and you're a conductor, I went to find the theater. And I had to ask, I think as many first-timers in Wexford do, they said, "Go up and turn left down the high street." And so I did it, and I walked down this street of old kind of working-class homes, and I didn't see any theater, and then there it was. It just said Theatre Royal. And outside the door was a man standing smoking, and it was Jim Golden. And Jim said to me, first words I heard from anybody involved with the opera was, "What the hell are you doing here?" So that was my first introduction to Wexford. Jim, yes, was very important in my time here at Wexford, as he was to Luigi and to Elaine before them. He took a very special interest and paternal attitude towards the artistic directors. He was extremely concerned for our success. And his version of being extremely concerned for our success was often to berate us and criticize us and give us a hard time. But he was always somebody we could know we'd get a straight answer from, and he would often give excellent advice. Then in 2005, that was the last year of the Theatre Royal, and so that caused a great deal of emotion and nostalgia. And when the season came down in 2005, we had no idea what we were going to do in 2006 or 2007. It was on my very first official day of, as artistic director. It was the 18th of September. Will always remember this date, because we were greeting all of the artists of the company downstairs in the old foyer of the Theatre Royal. And Jerome Hines, the chief executive of the time, was just about to introduce me as the new artistic director, and he began a few words, and as you know, he dropped dead. And he was a foot or two from me. So that was quite a year, given that the company was grieving deeply for Jerome, and there was also the natural feeling and nostalgia about the Theatre Royal coming down, although there was so much excitement that there would be a new theatre. Yeah, it was quite a year, my first year. Jerome and I had come up with an idea of going to Johnstown Castle. We knew we'd be we wouldn't have a theatre for 2 years, 2006 and 2007, so we thought we'd kind of split it down the middle and do a festival halfway between the closing of the old theatre and the opening of the new, which would sort of take us in the summertime of 2007. We constructed the largest, as I'm told, the largest temporary building ever built in Ireland was that theatre out at Johnstown. But the board of directors just didn't want to go completely dark in 2006. And we looked everywhere around here. We considered pitching a tent across the way, just across the bridge. We looked at places like Celtic Linen, whether we could turn one of their warehouses into a performance space. And we eventually lighted on the Dunware, which I think we turned into a cute little theatre, and we made quite a success out of that season. But literally, you know, 4 months later, we were building this construction out at Johnstown. It was a very demanding time on all of us. I began to think about it immediately I arrived here, that what we would be able to do in the new opera house that we couldn't do in the Theatre Royal. And I and my predecessors always knew there were works we'd like to present here in Wexford that were just not conceivable in the space we had in the old Theatre Royal. To me, the backbone of any great opera house is its chorus and its orchestra. Singers come and go, and everybody else comes and goes, designers, directors, artistic directors. But still, there is always the chorus and the orchestra. And I think this is the 9th year of the orchestra, and it is, as you know, it plays splendidly, it gets marvelous reviews, and what a great contribution they make. And I'm happy to say it's, given the year, between 85 and 90% made up of Irish citizens or people resident here in the Republic. It's really raised the standards, the musical standards. 3 years ago we started the chorus, and I tell you, they have brought a vitality and an energy, and they sing so splendidly that that's the other. I'm just deeply proud of the contribution the chorus and the orchestra make here. The chorus is made up of singers from Ireland, all over the United Kingdom. We have Japanese, Portuguese, Australians, Canadians in the chorus. So it's also a great national laboratory of young singers, many of whom are going to have real successes. I just want the very best for them. And I tell them all the time, you know, if it's a life in music you want, don't do it unless it's the only thing you simply have to do it. If you're doing it to get rich, or if you're doing it to get famous, forget about it. If you do get famous, and if you do get rich, well, be grateful for it. No, I think, as you know, this is my 10th year, and I'm, I hope modestly speaking, proud of what we've accomplished together, I and my colleagues. You can never be complacent or satisfied. That's not the way it works in the theater. And so you always have to be growing up. And there are several other projects this institution ought to consider for its future, and mostly for me having to do with projecting it further into the international opera community. Wexford has made an enormous contribution in the last 60-some years to the world of opera. And I often say that here in Ireland, even among people that ought to know better, that Wexford is much more regarded and famous than people here ever realize.